Hey, what's up you guys, it's ENCLOSURE and welcome back to What's New at Roger Williams Park Zoo. It's been a bit since we did the last episode, but I am excited to kind of cover all of the new things that have changed throughout the fall and winter seasons at the zoo. So without further ado, let's get started. So the most notable news that happened roughly at the end of November was that the zoo got a brand new director in the form of STACEY Johnson. So STACEY Johnson is going to be taking over the role of director of the zoo that was formerly occupied by Jeremy Goodman, who is now actually going to become the director of the Pittsburgh Zoo. And I think STACEY Johnson's resume speaks for himself. So STACEY actually started his career at Busch Gardens and bounced around a bunch of places. So he was the curator of Zoo World, Palm Beach Zoo, and Fort Worth Zoo. Then he went into zoo administration, having served in the Lehigh Valley Zoo, and then moved his way up to be the CEO of the Living Desert Zoo. And then his most notable thing that happened recently was his previous role, where he actually worked as the Director of Conservation Science Operations for San Diego Zoo. So definitely a very impressive resume. I really wish him the best of luck. I hope he can kind of, bring the master plan that Jeremy Goodman made to fruition. I think maybe improving it would be even better, frankly. And I think he definitely has a very impressive resume, and I'm glad to have him at the zoo. In other news, there is a lot of changes that have happened inside of the park recently. So notably, we can talk about probably the big thing that'll pertain to those who are going in December or January, and that is Faces of the Rainforest closure. So Faces of the Rainforest is our big South America building, and it will be closed, unfortunately, from the end of December until the end of January for some routine habitat maintenance. Prior to the actual official closure, I was already seeing some improvements made inside of Faces of the Rainforest. So for instance, the giant otter habitat actually had much clearer water. You could see them much better inside of the new water, as well as they added grass and some foliage inside of the otter habitat. So hopefully by the next time I go there, I will be able to see a much better looking Faces of the Rainforest. Speaking of which, and I apologize if I don't have much footage, we do have some new additions to Faces of the Rainforest. So that would be the Scarlet IBIS. So we actually got, I believe, 4 new Scarlet IBIS delivered into Faces of the Rainforest. I was fortunate enough to see them on exhibit prior to the closure, and they are definitely beautiful. I will include some images and stuff of whatever I can of the new IBIS, but hopefully, if you are excited as I was, you can see them for yourself in February. In other news, kind of extending the maintenance kind of talk, a lot of changes have been made to a lot of the habitats throughout the zoo in the last few months. So notable things inside of North America are the red wolf den has been constructed. So there is an artificial den inside of the red wolf enclosure to make them feel more at home and comfortable for breeding purposes and other aspects that they might have not been comfortable with for people. A lot of the time they would want to spend some of their off time off exhibit, and it made them really difficult to see. So they have kind of stripped the entire habitat of a lot of the overgrowth and stuff that made it more difficult to see them. They added some new broken down trees and log enrichment, as well as the new den to make them all feel at home a little bit more. Similarly, the bald eagles had a total makeover to their habitat. So all of the trees and overgrowth and stuff were cut down. It is now very cleaned up. They added brand new climbing frames, and the most notable thing is the actual new shelter that they have constructed. So it's been up for a few months now, but it's basically a new house for them for the winter months, or the when it's raining out. Just a shelter so that they can go in and hide when they don't want to, get rained on, basically. So those are the notable changes. Obviously, there are some other things that they've been touching up around the zoo. Things like repaving the entire walkways, as well as painting over some of the existing walls and fences in the backstage areas. So a lot of things like that have been made to just kind of make the zoo a little bit nicer. In some positive news, I will say, the termite mound at the giant anteater enclosure is finally open. I don't know why this excited me, but when I went the last time, my friend pointed it out, like, hey, it's open, and I'm like, oh yeah, you're right. Because for the longest time throughout coronavirus, the termite mound viewing for the giant anteater was closed, but fortunately now it is open. You can go inside, you can take your photos inside of the glass viewing, and it is very exciting. In other news, we have 2 baby binturongs born at the zoo, and they are adorable. Now, they have been out on exhibit for a few months now, but if you haven't had the chance to see them, definitely go see them. They are adorable. You can find them hanging out with their mother all the time. They were doing all sorts of crazy tricks and stuff. They were, you know, hanging from their tail. They were climbing up and exploring the habitats and stuff. They are definitely a star attraction right now at the zoo. Definitely go and see them inside of World of Adaptation. And to round out today's video, since it is the December version of What's New at the Zoo, I should probably address the elephant in the room, and that is the elephants are probably going to be indoors. It is winter time at Roger Williams, and so if you were going to be visiting the zoo, I will give you the kind of quick pros and cons. Pros, it will be dead. There will be no one at the zoo, and so if you do not like crowds, it is an excellent time to go to the zoo. Now, the downside to the zoo, obviously not every animal will be on exhibit, so while the zoo is often really good about keeping most of their animals out, I don't want to have you be guaranteed every single animal will be on exhibit. So all of those African species or, you know, other South American species like the giant anteater, they are likely going to be indoors. However, I will say the zoo provides an excellent opportunity for you to see most of the animals you would like to see through varying different ways. So for instance, the elephants and giraffes are almost certainly going to be in the elephant house, which should be open, and you will always be able to view them. The zebras, Watusi, and wildebeest have heated enclosures, so more often than not, they will be outdoors even during the winter months. Animals that you may not see in the future would include stuff like maybe the red river hog or, again, the giant anteater. However, as a little tip, you can actually go a little bit behind Faces of the Rainforest, and there's a glass viewing window if you would like to see the giant anteaters. So that is a little tip and trick. If you do not see the anteaters out on exhibit, you can actually go. They have a behind-the-scenes holding with a glass window for viewing into it. Now, animals that you are probably definitely going to see, all of the North American and Marco Polo animals will likely be on exhibit. So Roger Williams kind of prides itself on taking in a lot of cold-tolerant animals for our winters, and the Himalaya section is definitely an excellent example of that. The moon bears, takin, red panda, and snow leopard are almost certainly going to be out all winter. They actually love the cold. Similarly, a lot of the North American animals like the bison and pronghorns don't seem to really mind it either. Animals like the red wolf are questionable if they will be in or not during the winter, but hopefully you will be able to have a good time at the zoo regardless. So with that being said, thank you all for watching. If you guys like Roger Williams Park Zoo or zoos in New England, definitely subscribe to my channel. I have a lot of videos planned in the future, and I will see you guys next time.